The 48th session of the UNESCO World Heritage Committee has successfully concluded in Busan. During the meeting, new World Heritage sites were inscribed, while delegates from around the world also discussed a wide range of issues, including heritage conservation and the growing impact of climate change. Today, we're connecting with Dr. Kim Jihon, Chief of Policy at the Korean National Commission for UNESCO, to take a closer look at the key outcomes of this year's session and what they mean for the future of World Heritage. Hello, Dr. Kim.
Hi, Dr. Kim.
Hello. Nice to see you.
Thank you very much for joining us today, Dr. Kim. So to begin, how would you assess the overall outcome of the 48th session of the UNESCO World Heritage Committee?
Well, I would evaluate the overall outcome very positively. The Busan session was meaningful, not only because it was the first World Heritage Committee session hosted by the Republic of Korea, but also because it produced both symbolic and practical results. The unanimous adoption of the Busan Declaration on July 20 was particularly important. I believe it sent a clear message that World Heritage protection now requires stronger collaboration in the face of climate change, armed conflict, development pressure, and other global challenges. Korea's successful expansion of Gaepal, Korean tidal flats, also showed that hosting this session was connected to concrete progress in heritage conservation.
Right. Collaboration and cooperation was really the key word throughout this year's session, I believe. And in fact, the Busan Declaration, I hear, officially adds collaboration to UNESCO's existing 5 strategic objectives like credibility, conservation, capacity building, communication, and community. So really highlighting that protecting World Heritage is truly a shared global responsibility.
Definitely. And the World Heritage Committee is responsible not only for inscribing the new World Heritage sites, but also for discussing how these existing sites should be protected and managed. So what were some of the most important issues addressed during this year's meeting on that matters?
Indeed, one of the most important parts of this year's meeting was the State of Conservation Review. This is where the committee examines whether existing World Heritage sites are being properly protected and what kind of measures are needed when they face serious threats. This year, the major issues included armed conflict in particular and development around the World Heritage sites. This discussion reminded us that inscription is not only the beginning, but also actually the start. So once a site is placed on the World Heritage list, there is a long-term responsibility to protect its outstanding universal value.
And also, did this year's session reveal any notable shifts in the way the international community approaches World Heritage? I mean, were there any emerging priorities or new directions that stood out to you?
Yes, as I mentioned earlier, I think the session clearly showed a shift from the mainly inscription-centered approach to a stronger emphasis on conservation, resilience, and shared responsibility. Of course, inscription remains still very important, but the international community is now paying much closer attention to what happens after the inscription. So several priorities stood out: climate adaptation, risk preparedness, responsible development, and community participation. The Busan Declaration that I mentioned earlier also highlighted collaboration as a key direction. This reflects the reality that today's threat to World Heritage are too complex for any single country or institution to address alone.
Right, and now the meeting has ended. What significance did it hold for Korea and for Busan in particular, where the meeting was held to host this year's World Heritage Committee session? And looking ahead, what role do you see Korea playing in the field of World Heritage?
Well, for Korea, hosting the World Heritage Committee was a very important milestone. Korea joined the World Heritage Convention in 1988, and over the past decades, it has developed strong experience in heritage nomination, management, education, and international cooperation. Hosting the session, therefore, showed that Korea is now expected to contribute more actively to global heritage governance. For Busan, the significance is also very special because Busan is an international port city with a rich modern history and a stronger a strong cultural identity. So it is also pursuing World Heritage nomination for its wartime capital heritage, which is already on Korea's tentative list. So looking ahead, I believe Korea can play a stronger role in linking heritage conservation with climate action, digital innovation, and the peace, education, and community participation.
Mm-hmm. And another issue that's kind of popping up is that more and more of World Heritage sites are facing threats from climate change, armed conflicts, and also other global challenges. So how is the international community working together to better protect these sites?
Well, the international community is working through several mechanisms. The World Heritage Committee reviews the conservation status of sites, requests corrective measures, provides international assistance, and when necessary, places sites on the list of World Heritage in danger to mobilize urgent attention and support. But cooperation now needs to go further. I believe climate change, conflict, and development pressure require joint action among governments, experts, site managers, local communities, and international organizations. So I believe the Busan Declaration is very important in this regard because it calls for stronger collaboration and more practical responses. Protecting World Heritage today, I believe, is not simply a national task. It is a shared global responsibility.
And speaking of which, finally, Dr. Kim, how can the public play a greater role in appreciating and also safeguarding our shared world heritage? And what message would you like to leave for our international viewers on that front?
The public has a very important role. I always believe so. World Heritage sites are not protected only by the government or experts. They are protected when people understand their value, visit them responsibly, respect local communities, and support policies that place long-term conservation above short-term gain. My message to international viewers is that World Heritage belongs to all of us, but it also depends on all of us, whether it is a temple or historic city, tidal flat or forest or site of memory. World Heritage connects local places with humanity as a whole. So we should see these sites not only as a place to admire, but also responsibilities we share with future generations.
That is a meaningful reminder that preserving our shared heritage really begins with each one of us. Thank you very much, Dr. Kim, for connecting with us today. Yes, thanks and have a great rest of the day.
Thank you.
Thank you. It is great. My pleasure.
And thank you, Bella. As always, we're going to have you back here soon.
Yes, I'll see you back soon.